I'm going to offend some people, perhaps. I don't mean to. I'm a retro gamer myself, but people walking around saying that retro games are better than current games are lying to you. They want to sell you stuff on eBay. They want you to watch their videos, which is fine. It's a business, it's an industry. I've got no problem with that. But retro games suck. And reason number one, hardware failures. The number one reason why I pull my hair out of my head every time I try and play a retro game. I sit there, I get my game, I hook up the system, everything seems fine until I turn on the damn power button, and any number of things can happen. So retro gaming sucks because you gotta constantly fight with the hardware that you're using, no matter how well you take care of it. I have a 3DO that I bought pretty much at launch. I go to turn it on. It turns on. And I took care of this console. I took care of this console for 30 years. Power's on, 3DO logo comes on for a second, screen goes black, access light does not turn on. That's it. Now that's a CD error. That's a laser error. And if you are a casual gamer, that's a big freaking problem. If you are a hardware guru or an engineer or somebody who likes to solder shit, then maybe this will be good for you. But for anybody else, it's going to drive you completely nuts. Now I can open this up and clean the laser, and I'm pretty tech savvy. I kind of like to do this stuff, and it drives me crazy because opening this up, I have to try and diagnose what the problem is. It could be a capacitor that went out, and sometimes that's obvious and sometimes it isn't. I can just go ahead and replace all the capacitors. Some people know what that means, and some people have no idea what that means. It's a decent amount of work. I can send it out, but that means I'm not playing that console today. I'm probably not playing it anyway because any fix I'm going to do is going to eat into the time that I was going to spend playing the game. And that's where things get frustrating. So if you're going to get into retro games, be ready to have the big magnifying glass with the light over a workbench and get a soldering gun and get a power line tester and just about everything else that you need in order to diagnose electronics. If you have no interest in that, maybe you should emulate that. But if you're going into this saying, hey, I'm going to buy that console on eBay, and you can buy a perfectly good 3DO console on eBay. The person that's selling it checked it and it's working. But in transit, that laser can get thrown off. Or a week after you buy it, it could fail. It happened to my Xbox as well. Xbox is well taken care of. I'd used it 2 weeks before. I'm all set to create a video. I've got my capture card. Everything's ready to go. I go to turn it on, and this just keeps whirring like crazy. Nothing on the screen. I open it up. Can't figure out what the problem is. I took 2.5 hours trying to figure that out. And the other problem is you're going to go down how many different YouTube and Google sinkholes or Reddit sinkholes until you figure out what's wrong with your console. Because there's any number of fixes out there that work for Tom, Dick, and Harry that might not work for you. Oh, and Jane too. Everybody. Anybody out there that has a classic console has had this problem. All these consoles will fail. The cartridge systems, they will stay a little bit longer. Once you go into the CD-ROMs and the DVDs, that's where things are going to get more and more dicey and more apt to fail. About 2 weeks ago, I wanted to go back to my OG Xbox and another console that was very well taken care of, no issues with it at all. Fire it up, and the disc keeps spinning and no screen. And it took me hours upon hours to try to fix it. When you're a retro gamer, you're not just going back in time and enjoying the games. That's part of it. But the other part, if you want to be a true retro gamer, is you have to be a hardware repairer. You have to know how to take care of your cartridges. There's so many different things to do. And this is why I think emulation becomes very popular, because you can play these games. You still need to do some tweaking. You still need to know a bit about software and a little bit about hardware, depending on how intricate you want to get with the emulation. But at the same time, it's a lot easier than dusting off a console, starting it up, and getting nothing. The idea that retro gaming is pure, I agree, but it's a pure pain in the ass, and you need to be ready for it. So everybody out there saying that the old games are better, that it's better to be a retro gamer, I feel what you're saying, but at the same time, it's BS. So my advice to you, stay away from retro gaming if you just want to revisit your youth. First of all, the games aren't as good as you remember, and second of all, hardware is going to drive you absolutely insane. If you're prepared for that, fine, but be forewarned. Bone dry out.